So hello everybody and welcome to this showcase event for postgraduate study at Trinity College, Dublin. So we have a number of programs here, and today we're going to talk to you about some of the information through that to help you hopefully decide on which one you're going to choose for your postgraduate journey here at Trinity College. So today on the panel, we have myself as the Director of Postgraduate Teaching and Learning in the School of Engineering, my colleague, Professor Aonghus Nabola. He's the Global Director of Engineering. And we have Catherine, who is a current student here. She's doing the postgraduate master's in engineering with a specialty in environmental engineering. We have Flora, who's studying biomedical engineering here at the moment. Then we have Abigail, who is our E3 student recruitment and admissions officer. So she will, whenever you're putting in your application, you'll be in contact with Abby. And then we have two of our graduates here who are in engineering roles as engineering consultants. We have Davik and we have Skylar. So thank you for the panel for coming along and joining us today, and to everybody for hopefully a great discussion at the end of this, and we'll be able to answer some of your questions as you think about your journey through Trinity for your postgraduate studies. I'll hand it over to Aonghus now, who's just going to give us a little bit of an insight into the school and our E3 that's being set up at the moment.
Great, thank you, Sarah, and welcome to all the participants. So yes, a little bit about the School of Engineering. So the School of Engineering is the Trinity was established in 1841, or the oldest engineering school in the English-speaking world. But today it is a modern research-led school, consistently ranks very highly in international rankings, and our staff are carrying out cutting-edge research, and many of our programs are accredited by Engineers Ireland, which follows the Washington Accord and makes our courses internationally recognized. So I'll go to the next slide, or unless I have control. Oh, yes. Another aspect of the engineering school at Trinity that I wanted to tell you about is the E3 program. So Trinity is part of, or the engineering school in Trinity is part of Trinity's flagship initiative called E3, which is on energy, engineering and emerging technologies, the environment. And the aim of that is to intensify interdisciplinary collaborations between the School of Computer Science, Engineering and Natural Science. And that features in a lot of our postgraduate programs quite heavily, as we'll see as we go along, to help us try and address the global challenges. Getting balanced solutions for a better world is our flagship tagline. So to tell you a bit more about some of that, we have a little video that I think comes up next.
We have an obligation as a third-level research institution to respond to what are the social, climatic, environmental, energy crises in which the world finds itself. Human activity is causing catastrophic changes in our planet, and the real big tipping point is about 2050. So the graduates that come out of Trinity in the next 5 years are the people that will have to contribute to the solutions to these problems, and we're going to do it through E3.
E3 is a multidisciplinary program, and multidisciplinary programs are greater than the sum of their parts. The E3 project is taking students beyond the traditional area of science of discovery and moving us towards the science of engagement and collaboration.
E3 stands for a merging of environmental science, engineering, and computer science and statistics. It's a conceptual, philosophical transformation of the way in which science is taught in Trinity at the moment.
The E3 Norton Learning Foundry will provide a space where all of this can happen with the suitable equipment and facilities for students to really enjoy themselves while they learn.
That has really innovative spatial design features, including design labs and interactive spaces, which merge the IT and computer needs of computer science with the wet lab, microscopes, etc., of the natural scientists, all the way through to the high-ceilinged areas for mechanical, civil, and, you know, scaling up prototypes of materials, robots, etc., for engineering.
It is very exciting to be involved in this new development where we allow our students to really learn and to work with and meet with and interact with people with a different discipline. I think some of the most interesting learning happens in the university when you cross disciplines.
Success for the foundry would be that, you know, people's walking past would stop and look and recognise that there's something different going on in there, and they'd be curious. You know, they'd want to go in, they'd want to see, and it's not just the architecture, which is a part of it, but it's actually the activity that's going on there.
E3 can be a real driver for change in society. I think the graduates that will come out of the E3 Learning Foundry will be much more attuned to the ways in which their skills and training will be able to address the challenges the world faces, climate change, sustainability challenges, and many others. And I think it's a very exciting time.
Okay, and so that video hopefully nicely explains the E3 initiative to you. I mean, the video mentioned the Learning Foundry, and we mentioned it here again briefly as if you are applying for a postgraduate course in Trinity, the building is due to open in September, and you know, you would be part of the first students to experience that. So I think onto the next slide, I am going to hand back to Sarah, who's going to talk you through the courses on offer.
Yeah. Thanks, Aonghus, for that. So hopefully now you're thinking, as you're here today, you're thinking about a postgraduate journey with Trinity. So our MSc programs in engineering, we have a number of different that we have running. We have the MSc in biomedical engineering. We have the MSc in engineering, which is in civil engineering. And you have streams in there from environmental engineering, sustainable energy engineering, structural and geotechnical engineering, and transport engineering. We also have the MSc in electronic information engineering. And within that, there's a stream in computational engineering. We have the MSc in mechanical engineering. And within that, there's a stream on zero carbon technology. And then also we have a collaboration with music. So we have an MPhil in music and media technologies. So you can see the breadth in there in terms of the range of MScs that we have in the School of Engineering. And thank you. So first off, we have the MSc in biomedical engineering. And as Aonghus mentioned initially, you know, we're very much a research-focused school. So we're really you know, at the cutting edge in terms of what we're doing in terms of research. And that obviously feeds into our MSc programs throughout. So particularly here in the biomedical engineering, we have 4 streams even within that. So there's many different directions you can go, even whenever you choose to do biomedical. So you have the general stream, you've got your medical devices, you've got neural engineering, you've got tissue engineering in there. We have modules that some of those are shared across the engineering. So say, for example, in biomechanics, you may be able to do that in, you know, the MSc in mechanical engineering. So some of those are shared. So you will get to meet other students across the School of Engineering as well when you're doing that. But obviously there's ones that are very much specific and focused towards your biomedical engineering course. So then we have many career opportunities. This is a really growing field nationally and internationally. And some of our main employers from that include Boston Scientific, BMS, and J&J as well. So that's just a few. And we'll be hearing from some of our graduates later on in the discussion part. We go on. Yeah, so in the MSc in engineering then, which is based mainly in civil engineering. So there's structural, there's environmental, sustainable energy, structural and geotech, and then we have transport engineering. So within that, you see, you do have a range of modules again that you would share across those streams, but then ones that you would choose specifically for that stream that you're interested in. So for example, if you're choosing sustainable energy, you would more likely then be choosing modules such as wind energy, solar energy, energy storage and energy policy, those types of things. So there's modules that are just for those streams, but can also be can be taken if you're doing other streams within that, if that makes sense. So also, again, in terms of career opportunities, there's many there, and our engineers are really, you know, nationally, we have a growing need for engineers. So these are generally, you know, you have good career opportunities after this. And if we go on to the MSc in electronic and information engineering, again, this is, you know, highly research focused, as all of them are. We have a number of elements within here. A new specialization has come on. It's the computational engineering. So looking at quantum developments in this field is really growing now. We have new modules within that to showcase that area and that growth in college. And again, you have core elements and you have sample electives there. So you have ones that you choose and ones that you must take. So these are more in terms of, say, research methods to prepare you for your research project. And then in terms of electives, then particularly in your specialization. Again, our career opportunities there you can see, and the employers such as Intel, ESB, and ARB, they would be very much working with us in terms of these course developments as well. In terms of the MSc in mechanical engineering, so there's a specialty in there in zero carbon technology. And so this is, again, you have your the normal MSc in mechanical engineering, but then you would take specific zero carbon relevant modules then to specialize in that particular area. So again, across the mechanical engineering, you may be sharing modules with the zero carbon, obviously, but also with the biomedical engineering, and even in some cases with the environment, with the structure or the civil engineering masters. Again, many career opportunities here. You've automotive, aerospace, and growing in terms of robotics and automation, which is really important field as we move forward. And then in terms of the MPhil in music and media technologies, again, this is really, it was one of the top courses in this area, and it has a huge, it's developed mainly with, you know, along with the creative disciplines, and you have this sort of exhibition at the end of the year. So this is, you know, sharing modules again with the electronic engineering. You have some of those there. You can see the core modules. So you may be sharing with other engineering cohorts, but then you have your own very much specific modules that are just for your course in terms of those electives that you choose then as you move forward. So career opportunities in music, TV and film, and, you know, theatre and gaming, you know, really growing in terms of interest in the course, as well as we, you know, see how things change globally too. So our postgraduate structure is generally 1 year. It's a taught program. So we have 9 months of lectures, and then you would have a research project that you would do then, particularly in the summer months, but you would be starting that work, you know, through the year by engaging with topics, by engaging with supervisors, and to try to get some of the reading done as you start, before you start that in the summertime. So that would be generally our programs. And I'm going to hand you over now to Abigail, who's going to talk to you and help you to get through the application process.
Thanks very much for that, Sarah. So I hope you've all learned hearing about the courses and the many, many opportunities that you can avail of in the School of Engineering. Of course, this is just an overview, and there is plenty of information into the modules, the collaboration, the project opportunities, and research on the E3 and the School of Engineering website. So in terms of how to apply, for the September 2024 intake, applications are now open, and all applicants for postgraduate courses can apply directly through our online system. So you go to tcd.ie/courses, and as you select the course that you're interested in, there is an apply button that students can click, and it will take you to the application portal. And then you fill in the form and upload the relevant documents. So the entry requirements, the full entry requirements can be found on our study website, and it just goes through the full sort of admissions requirement for postgraduate specifically. So we require a 2-1 or a second-class honours degree from an Irish university or an international equivalent. So whether that's with a GPA sort of system, as long as it corresponds to a 2-1 honours degree from an Irish university, it can be it can be translated. So we also require a certified copy of your degree certificate and your academic transcript. So this must be an official copy and must be issued by the relevant institution. And if you are from a non-English speaking country, we require proof of English language competency. So from test centers like IELTS or an equivalent such as TOEFL or Duolingo or Cambridge. And in terms of IELTS, the minimum is 6.5 with no less than 6.0 in individual components. And there are obviously more, there's minimum scores on the rest of the English language proficiency exams, and all of that can be found on the entry requirements link that I referred to earlier. We ask for 2 letters of recommendation. This can be, at least one of them must be from an academic. So if you have done a research project, for example, in your undergraduate, you can perhaps ask the supervisor to write a letter of recommendation for you. The other one can be a professional recommendation, or they can both be an academic recommendation. So we require a scan or a copy of your passport, as well as your CV or resume, and a personal statement as well for a postgraduate application. So in terms of scholarship opportunities available for application, for students with EU fee status, you can apply for an EU Excellence Scholarship, and that is based on academic achievement. You can find more information on that on the study website as well, just under postgraduate scholarships. And that will go into detail of the eligibility criteria, the amount that can be awarded, and what you need to do to apply. For non-EU students or for students with non-EU fee status, you can avail of the Global Excellence Postgraduate Scholarship. And this is a one-time deduction from non-EU fees between €2,000 and €5,000. And I believe they also look at academic achievement for that. And for all PGs or E3 applicants or offer holders, you can apply for the E3 scholarship. And it's for all full-time postgraduate programs in the School of Engineering, Computer Science and Statistics, or Natural Science, or for the MSc in Energy Science. And again, it is valued between €2,000 and €5,000, and this is deducted from the fees of a full-time program. So for the full eligibility criteria and application process, you can go on the E3 website, and it should be under scholarships, and that'll give you more details and the application form as well. So we offer many supports to students before they arrive and while they're applying. Of course, myself and my colleagues in the E3 team are always here to help, but you can also chat with current postgraduate students through our Talk to Students function. So this is run through the global engagement team, and they are just a range of students from all over the world that are happy to talk to prospective students. You can make a profile through Talk to Students, and they are there to chat with you about life in Trinity, life in Ireland, life in Dublin, and just sort of what you would need to know as a potential postgraduate student. Even if you don't find a student there with your specific course of interest, they're always there to sort of talk to you more generally about life in Dublin as a student in general and as an international student. So that's all we have for you today in terms of the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you want more information, you can always go on our website, just at trinity.tcd.ie/E3, or on the relevant School of Engineering website. You can contact the E3 team, so at e3.team@tcd.ie, and one of us will be able to answer your queries or refer you as relevant. And then you can book a one-to-one call through our contact page on the E3 website as well. So that's everything we have for you. I'm going to hand back over to Sarah, who will moderate the Q&A. I see that a few questions have been submitted in the Q&A box already, but I'll let you start off, Sarah. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much, Abby, for that. That's great. So as Abby says, the chat box, the Q&A is open, so feel free to put your questions in there and we'll try to answer them as we go along. And just before we get into the Q&A there that you've inserted, we'll try to answer them too if they're easy enough questions in the chat. But just first, maybe I'll ask Aonghus if he could just let us know really what sets Trinity apart. Why would you choose a School of Engineering in terms of a postgraduate program instead of others in Ireland or elsewhere?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Great question. So why would I choose Trinity as opposed to other? Well, I mean, there are a number of reasons to choose Trinity. First of all, it being a top 100 university, the leading university in Ireland by a considerable margin, considering that part. And I mean, there are several programs as you went through, and each of them have their own unique features, but sort of collectively, I think the E3 theme that they all try to align to is a nice unique feature which cuts across them all. For example, in my own area of environmental engineering, the combination of environmental science, engineering, and computer science together is a really powerful combination to sort of address significant challenges we face. So I think the E3 program is quite a unique feature to Trinity, as well as its more general accolades as being a very well-established old university and long-established engineering school. So yeah, I guess those are my reasons.
I suppose then I'd hand it over then to maybe Catherine, and Flora, because you're our current postgraduates, and maybe to ask you why you chose Trinity, and I suppose how how you're getting on with your course. You're happy with your decision, I hope.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with my decision. I think I chose Trinity. I think, well, it has a really good reputation, and I've heard about like how good it is to live in Dublin. So that's what initially piqued my interest with the school. But what really got me on board with applying was looking into the research opportunities. The really cool, especially biomedical research that they're doing here. It's a really cool master's program in that it is a year long, but you're also really working with a research advisor and working on your project throughout the year. And so for me, being able to be on a really cool research project that I'm able to dictate what we do and what experiments that we do has been a really great opportunity for me.
Excellent. Great. And Catherine?
Yeah, so for me, there's a few reasons why Trinity was the best option to take or choose. And the first option was I'm really into the environmental challenges that we are facing in the future. And I come from a civil engineering background, and I've been working for a few years actually in the industry in engineering. And I think that there's many challenges that we have not been considering, especially when you go out there and it's not a state project or other requirements that may be applying. So for me, the environmental part, to study that in depth, but also have some flexibility around what type of courses I would choose, because there's the option to always, every semester where you have 4 courses or 4 modules that you have to do, 2 of them have to be within your environmental specification or structural or transportation, whatever you may do. And the other 2, you could also dip into structural or geotechnical or other courses, which is quite great to have that flexibility. And obviously it's a 1-year master's. So for someone that has been working before and may not want to spend 2 years in university, it's a good opportunity to do it in 1 year full time. And obviously there is this support or this difficulty, let's say it that way, for me coming from Germany. There is a language barrier, obviously, but there's also great help that Trinity offers for free, where you can do assignment classes on academic writing or dissertation writing. So that's really a great support, and you can just apply for it and maybe you will be taken in. So that's a great addition, that you get that support for free. And obviously from a German perspective, English speaking courses are more international, so you have better opportunities when you go out there in the future. You may not be maybe tied to a country that much, and it maybe helps you to get your foot into the door if you are considering to not stay in your home country, or may try to find other experiences elsewhere, cultures and so on. So I hope this was clear now, because there was a few things coming together, but yeah, that's it.
Absolutely, that's great, and good to hear of the using the supports that are available. Is that so in terms of the international dimension? So there's lots of from the global office. Aonghus, I suppose you could maybe let us know a few of those supports that would be available for international students, so that if English isn't your first language, that there are supports available.
There are supports available, Sarah, for sure. Yeah. So there is a course which Catherine mentioned. The exact title, English for Academic Writing and so on, which you can take in addition to your main program. I think there are a variety of general supports for international students, like the Global Room is quite useful, particularly for students coming from outside of Europe with issues related to visas and so on. And well, I mean, particularly for people who are interested in applying at this stage, the E3 team via Abby are quite supportive for any of those kind of questions as well, if someone has. And I see a few related to those in the chat, which we might try and answer as we're going along.
Yeah, excellent. So then maybe just then, I'm not sure, Abby, if you want to come in there with some of the supports, or you just want to direct.
Yeah, so in terms of international student support, as you already mentioned, Sarah, there is the Global Room for sort of more general support, and also things more specific to international students, such as the immigration process or health insurance or banking or sort of settling into Ireland. In terms of English speaking support, we have an excellent student learning development team here in Trinity, and there's also a pre-sessional English course that students can apply for if they have an offer as well. So there are quite a few, and as Sarah said as well, if you would like to reach out to one of us in the E3 team, we're always here to sort of point you in the right direction as well. There's one support that I would particularly sort of point out is just having students there that have either gone through the Trinity system in the undergrad, or engaging with other students really that are familiar with Trinity or familiar with the system, and getting to know people that have maybe experienced life in Trinity. You can do that through the Global Room, or just sort of getting to know your classmates as well. Don't take for granted the availability of speaking to other students that have recently gone through the Trinity as well. So that's kind of what I would add to that. So yeah, we have a very engaged Q&A box.
Yeah,
so lots of questions here.
So I suppose maybe for our graduates, so it's asking, how did Trinity help you in your career? So did it prepare you for the real world, I suppose, and real world challenges? Maybe.
Yeah, I think I just graduated from Trinity last fall, so I'm fresh out, and I'm working in my first placement as a graduate environmental engineer at a consultancy here in Dublin. And the assignments that were given to me in Trinity were always real world focused. There was always a question to be answered, such as you would have in an actual consultancy. It wasn't just assignments being handed at me, busy work. There was assignments that had a clear focused problem that you needed to approach from a number of different ways. There wasn't ever one directly right approach to how to do it, which is generally how the world works. It is not a frictionless field, unfortunately, but it's, I thought the assignments given to me really prepared me for this type of writing and the type of problems that I would be facing a lot of, especially if you're planning to stay and work in Ireland. All of the problems are, kind of Irish based, and, you get to know more about the general sort of environmental engineering problems that you would be facing in your day-to-day work at a consultancy.
Excellent, great to hear. And David?
Yes, so coming from India, of course, it's quite intimidating to move into one of the top universities, and English not being your first language was something, of course, I tell everyone who's participating in this event as well, that it is quite intimidating to feel like, oh, will I fit in, and will it be okay to come into one of the top universities, and will it be fine? Can I cope up? The 1-year master course that I just finished is, I mean, I was with Skylar as well, so it was a pretty intense course, and there's a lot of assignments, and you have a lot of work to do. But the course is so strategically made that you actually can have time to resourcefully do your assignments and work with a team of your classmates, and like the professors as well. They're so approachable, so you can always talk to them. And it's been a pretty a nice curve, a journey of 1 year to understand and to learn and to be progressive about the whole environmental engineering. And the best part about it being a multidisciplinary course allows you to take modules from other courses, like engineering parts as well. So I had modules taken from structural, which also helped me to understand a bit more about the structural courses and the work that's going to happen if in the future. Right now I'm working in as a graduate role in flooding and drainage. But of course, there are designs that I have to do that involve structural calculations and everything. And Trinity helps in making sure that you don't streamline yourself to one particular course, and you can have a broad perspective and try to choose whichever modules that you want. And you have the flexibility as a student, which is very important. And yeah, it's a great opportunity for everyone who's looking forward. And I hope you guys really consider Trinity as well.
Excellent.
I think
Great.
to add to what Davik said is what really made the course well is the camaraderie that, particularly our class had together, where we all knew each other because the classes are pretty small. Like they're specialized once you get up to the master's point. So we were taking classes with the same people, and we saw each other every day. And it was never like I felt intimidated. Like I'm not from Ireland myself either, and so being able to come into a new community of people who are doing something similar to me and never felt like I couldn't ask a question. Like it was never scary or intimidating. I really appreciate that, and I think that had a very meaningful impact on how I reflect back on my time as a Trinity student.
That's great. Great to hear that. And I suppose that's what we're trying to get across in terms of our taught programs is that we do have, the opportunity to take modules outside your specific stream, which I think is really helpful as you're mentioning. So that's great to hear that it's useful in the workplace as well. That so we should continue and do more of that. So that's good to know. So just going into the chat, we have a question from someone who's actually looking to find out what a day in the life of an MSc student is in Trinity. So maybe would Laura or Catherine like to tell them what typically you would do from, I suppose, study in terms of lectures or labs and
Yeah, I would say so. At least for my program, the first semester is pretty heavy in classes. So during that time, it's a pretty normal schedule where most of the days I'm taking classes and then working on assignments afterwards. But you do you're paired with a lab during that time. And so you start attending lab meetings, doing a little bit of introductory research. I started a little bit of my project during then. But now into the second semester, I only have about one class a day. And so the rest of the time, it was kind of mentioned that you really work with the other people in your course a lot. And that's very true. It's almost completely group work. There's very few assignments that are individually done. So after a lecture, we will usually meet with our groups or other peers to work on the assignments. And then I'll also be in the lab conducting my research. And I believe in the summer, then that becomes you're in the lab almost full time.
Okay, so that's for the biomedical MSc in biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have mainly group work at this semester, and then you have your research project that you're engaging with as well.
Yeah, and the group work really does help with your project as well. Like for instance, this semester there's a design class where you learn like 3D printing skills, and in my research project, I'm taking those skills and using them in the lab. So it's a really cool. The classes are definitely very meaningful and will definitely help your research projects.
Great. Catherine, is it any different for you or similar?
I would say I would agree with Skylar's statement that you're very connected to other people because you know every single person that is part of the MSc program, regardless of whatever strain it may follow, because there's classes that you will have together as well, the mandatory modules, and then obviously free choice gives you the opportunity to link it together a little bit more. But from a daily perspective, every day for me is very different. There is days that I have no classes at all. There's days where I have classes from 9 in the morning until 7 in the evening. So every single day is kind of like, yeah, different, and which for me is very good, because coming from the industry, working from maybe 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening, your day is kind of like determined to happen within that time frame. But if you have a little bit of a flexibility, you can work on your assignments on the days that you don't have to be in university, so you don't have to do everything on the weekends, for example. So you're more flexible the way you structure yourself. But in terms of the assignments, I must say, from my perspective, because maybe the modules I chose don't have too much group work involved, so it was heavily, for the first semester, for example, individual assignments. So I had 2 modules that were nearly 100% assignment individually. So that was definitely a challenge to balance it, and yeah, consideration of everything else that's going on. And then you will have your exams that you need to prepare for as well, but there's, you know, limited time frame, so you need to be very good in your time management to be able to get it all under one hat, let's say it that way. So that's my experience.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So you can see that there's a range of ways, I suppose, that these masters are taught through in terms of, you know, individual coursework, lectures, group work, projects, and research as well. So you get, you know, you get a broad range of assessment what methodologies, and so it's depending on the course that can change, but also within the course too. So it's quite, you know, it gives you a good breadth in terms of that. We've had a number of questions in the chat around the research projects, and maybe I'll ask Aonghus as just as a colleague and professor in environmental engineering. So they're asking, is it possible that you choose your own project and you work with faculty? And then the other one is the other one is, sorry, I've just lost it now. I'll ask you that whenever. Oh, okay. Is it possible to work with research projects as well? So that's
yeah. Okay. Yeah,
how do we do research? I suppose that's it.
I saw that question earlier. Yeah. So the usual method of selecting a research project for most students is that a kind of centralized list of topics are circulated at the beginning of the program for students to choose from, and those generally align to research projects that are ongoing, to some of them anyhow. So that would be yes, would be the answer to that question. And then as regards suggesting your own research topic, it's certainly in some of the programs that is possible. Within the civil engineering programs, I'm certain that it's possible. It's less common, but we certainly have done it for students to propose a topic. But there are quite a lot, you know. So from all the staff, there are 75 academics or so, would each produce 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, I suppose, research topics, and a lot to choose from. So that's the general approach.
And then is it possible to work within research projects while you do your masters as well? Yeah.
So I mean, certainly some of the research topics on that list will be from research projects that are going on. So myself, I generally put up topics that are related to research projects that are going on, such that the student helps a little bit with the research that has to be done, and at the same time can do a master's thesis on it. So that is the norm, because quite a lot of research projects are going on, that people get involved in those, and also work with some of the PhD students or postdocs that might be doing something related.
Yeah, for sure. So that's, we are research led after all, and so it's trying to get the MSc students to be involved in that. And you, in that case, you would work with the research teams as well, and PhD students and postdocs, and get involved in that research. So it's a really good opportunity to be, you know, sort of at the cutting edge as well of what's going on within the school. So it's so we're open to most things. And in some courses, maybe it's not so possible. It's not as you know, it's not as easy for students to develop their own ideas around a project. But you're always encouraged to go and talk to the professor that's most aligned to the topic of interest that you have, and then you can sort of discuss with them what's the possibilities and opportunities around that.
I was sorry, Sarah, while you were asking me that question, I was answering some of the things on the chat, but there's an interesting one there that maybe some of the students could deal with about life outside of class. Maybe you were about to ask.
Yes, I was just about to ask that. What advice, do you have any advice for students who want to come to Trinity? And then what's life like outside the classroom? So I don't know who I could ask that. So maybe I could ask the graduates first, in terms of, you know, what advice would you give them now that you're, you know, you've been here, you've done the course, you've got, you know, you're in, you're working away. Is there some advice that you would give others in that position coming?
It's a pretty intense course, as I mentioned earlier. So you don't pretty much have a lot of time to expect to go and, like, you know, have fun, or, you know, like go around and plan for the weekends, because your weekends will be pretty occupied with doing the assignments. So that's a fact. And so don't expect to come to Trinity and you know, have the 1 year intense course with a full-time course and be okay to have the weekends off and, like, you know, just relax and rest. But of course, you do have the time, you do get breaks, you can go around, and, you know, you can you know, go out with your friends and everything. But we did not, unfortunately, at least me, I did not get a lot of time to like, you know, have a lot of fun in the 1 year that I was doing. And after that, you definitely have time to go and, like, you know, do the exploring and to do whatever adventures that you want to do with your life. So it was pretty much a lot of classes and assignments. So that is how I spend my whole 1 year. So that's it.
I would have to agree, it's a pretty intensive course, but that's what you get when you sign up for a 1 year course. It's streamlined and it's made efficient for that reason. It's not I didn't just stay locked up in the library the whole time. There are times, like Tariq said, that, you know, you will have time to go out with your friends, and I joined clubs and I was able to do things on campus with the clubs, and that was very nice. And I got to meet a bunch of different people that I wouldn't have ordinarily met because they did very different disciplines from what I did. But yes, the first 2 semesters are very intense. And then when you get into your research project and for me, I was predominantly working in the lab, and you kind of set your own schedule when you're going to do that, then it's a breath of fresh air to just be having one assignment to work on. But there's definitely a lot of opportunities to get involved on campus to fill up your free time, should you want to fill up the free time that you have.
Okay, thank you both. And I suppose for our current students, are you finding that the same? It's pretty intense at the moment?
I would say it definitely is intense at times, but I definitely have found time to have a lot of free time and explore Dublin and Ireland as well. I think it's really helpful that it was kind of mentioned how, like, small these cohorts are. So, like, I have 16 people in my course, and so that makes us all like really close. And so I met some really good friends just from the course itself. And so a lot of the, like, you're spending time with these people in the course as well. I think for me, what also helped was Trinity puts on a lot of, like, mixers and introductory events that help meet people, as well as the societies are very active on campus. So I'm, like, involved in the art society, and they put on a lot of workshops and stuff. And so I think being involved, there's a lot of ways to be involved and meet people as well here.
Okay, that's great to hear, Flora. Excellent. And Catherine, you find fun outside the classroom?
Yeah, well, it's really difficult to make time because I'm a very ambitious person. So for me, it's kind of like putting myself as a priority and say, you do some exercise now, or you go for a walk in nature, or you just go and grab a nice coffee somewhere around campus is something that I always have to remind myself of. So It is possible, and I think it's definitely healthier. And there's also opportunities on campus, like, for example, you can use the swimming pool or the gym, and you don't have to pay for that. Unless you want to do specific courses, then you might have to pay a little fee for that, but you also get like discount for that. So there's some options to be on campus, but also to kind of like, you know, physically do something, because you're doing a lot of sitting, working on your assignments or in class. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge to balance it all.
Yes, that's for sure. I suppose it's because it's a one-year program, it is, you know, you do have a lot of work to do, but at the same time, Dublin is still quite a small city, so it doesn't take a lot of time to explore that. So you get you should get a good opportunity to do that through the year. And Ireland isn't a very large country for those of you from larger countries. Ireland is very small, so in a couple of hours you can end up in one end, and we're sort of central, so you can end up, you know, in the west coast in 2 to 3 hours. So it's so for Catherine and Flora, when you do have some free time, you should start to explore a little bit further outside Dublin as well, because it is very nice. At the moment, a little bit cool and maybe a bit damp, but the weather does change quite flexibly. And I suppose that's something, you know, whenever we talk about what's it like to live in Ireland, would anybody be willing to discuss that? So because you're all sort of coming from, you know, different countries and, you know, settling in here, would there be anything that you'd like to give some advice to new students coming to Ireland? Maybe I can ask Davik. Yep.
Yeah, I was just about to tell to anyone who's coming from the Asian countries, brace yourself for a lot of wind and cold. It's extremely chilly in Ireland all the time. And Ireland is regarded as the country that has the most unpredictable weather. And you'll come to know when you actually step to Ireland how unpredictable the weather is. The mornings are sunny sometimes, and then there are heavy showers in the afternoon, and then it's completely cool in the night. So if you're coming to Ireland, that's probably one of the biggest advice I'm going to give you. Carry a heavy jacket, and the umbrellas don't work here. Just make sure you just have a thick jacket with yourself and brace yourself for some very chilly nights. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Chilly relative to India, but perhaps
Yeah.
not chilly relative to some parts of the world.
I
We
would
don't
say
get much
though,
snow.
yeah, Ireland in the summer though, you cannot beat it. It is beautiful. It is not too hot. The sun's always out. The sun doesn't go down. Irish summers are it's very good swimming in Dublin. I'm a big fan of Irish summers. And to kind of outweigh the chilly and dampness that we're experiencing right now, it doesn't last forever. Don't worry.
Yes, and generally it's quite mild climate. You know, we don't have very, you know, obviously it depends where you come from, but it doesn't get very cold and it doesn't get very hot. So it just sort of stays in that sort of nice medium. And you acclimatize pretty quickly, I hear. So, and
Yeah,
maybe from the, yeah, Flora?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm from Portland, Oregon on the West Coast in the States. And so for me the weather has been pretty similar compared to Portland, kind of the same amount of rain, but I definitely would agree that the summers are really great here. So my program started in September, and then I came over in July just to have a few months here before, and I think that was the best decision, just to be able to experience the summer here and then also have a lot of free time to explore Dublin and other parts of Ireland. It was great.
Great, Flora. So not such a big adjustment for you. And maybe the same for Catherine, or?
It is definitely different because I come from Berlin, so it's a city. It's a different climate as such, because it's also heavily fumed, let's say it that way, by cars and all our activities, and the wind is not really existing. So I actually love the wind, because the wind always gives you like a bit of fresh air and kind of like clears your head a little bit. And I used to work in Ireland for the last nearly 5 years before I started this course. So I've been doing a lot of traveling around Ireland. It's absolutely amazing. I've been in every single inch, I think, nearly. So it doesn't matter what direction you choose, if you go to Mayo or Donegal or Galway or County Clare or Kerry, Cork, even the north is like absolutely beautiful. Like everything is so different. It takes maybe 30 minutes and the vegetation is changing, and if you're into nature and outdoors, Ireland is really the place to be for me, at least, because I'm half Austrian, so I know the mountains, but there is no coast, there is no sea. So that was kind of like the great addition. So Ireland's really, it has it all, and it's all very close. So it's actually great to explore Ireland, and it feels like there's always something new. Even if you go to the same place, you will discover something new that you didn't discover the first time you went there. Yeah.
Excellent, Catherine. I want to go exploring now too. I'm delighted to hear that you've seen so much, so that's really good. And definitely something we should all do a little bit more is get outside of Dublin and have a look around. We are, apart from the weather, as David says, you just need to put on a good coat. So we don't say here it's bad weather, it's just bad clothing choices. So you just have to get a good coat with a hood, and that will do you all year round. So so excellent. Well, thank you everybody for for such great insights. I suppose we have some questions in the chat that we will try to, if we don't, we obviously won't touch on all of them, but we'll try to get back to you with those answers. And there's some interest there around how we engage with industry. So in terms of internships and that and placements, and because we have the year, it's a 1-year program, the opportunity for internships is not really, it's not really available in that sense, in terms of going out for a couple of months, because you do have a short program, but usually our research programs do have some type of industrial engagement within that. And you will have many opportunities to engage with industry through postgraduate events through the year. I'm not sure, Aonghus or Abigail, if you want to come in on that, or.
Yeah, I'm in the process of typing a question related to that. Yeah, I mean the demand for engineering graduates in Ireland is very high. Possibly some of the either Skylar or David can answer, but we generally have a high demand for employers to come in and talk, and not enough students to fill the opportunities. Similarly, in the internship, which isn't part of the postgraduate course, there's very high demand. So certainly that wouldn't be a major concern that for our current economic climate.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I suppose because we're coming to the end now, there's a nice question in there. It says, can you sum up the experience in 3 words at the School of Engineering? So I'll give you a few seconds there to think about that. And maybe Aonghus, given the professors, what's your 3 words to sum up the school?
Sum up the Trinity. I'll
your
give the broad
experience, obviously,
from my
will be
experience.
different.
Yeah, I think the nicest thing of Trinity is it's somewhat like a nice, calm village in the centre of Dublin, and a great place to learn. And within that we can get into details. That's a lot more than 3 words, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay, that's very nice. A couple of sentences, if not 3 words. So I can maybe pass it over to David.
Well, that was so random, so I really don't know what to say. But maybe it was challenging, and it was adventurous, and very informative. So all the 3 summed into one, and yeah, that's pretty. The whole 1 year was challenging, but at the same time, because as Skylar was mentioning, the class was a pretty small one, so it was not easy it was not that hard for all of us to get along very quickly and make friends. And even though the 1 year was a struggle, it was kind of struggle that we all went through because we all were sailing on the same boat. So it was easy for us to went out and do the assignments together. So those were the good memories as well. So I'm pretty happy with the 1 year, definitely.
Excellent, good. So good friendships as well would be good, yeah. And Skylar?
For 3 words, I'd have to say intensive, thorough, and worth it. It was a very challenging course, but I came out of it far better prepared to go about even just my day-to-day life and how I view the world and how I approach it, not even just from the opportunities I now have at work. And then obviously the friends that you make along the way. You get really close to these people and you get to become really good friends with them. And then now you can go to countries and you've never been to before, but you have friends now, and you feel like you're at home there, and you always have a place to stay. I think that's one of the things that really I like appreciate the most about my Trinity program is that I'm very prepared to go about my day-to-day life, very prepared to go about my career life, and I felt very fulfilled in the friendships that I made during my course.
Excellent, that's great. I didn't think about that as holiday opportunities as well, to visit all these people that you've met. So excellent, yeah. And maybe over to Catherine. What about you? 3 words.
I would say professional and personal growth. So if you're up for it, you really can make or take a lot from it. So if you are willing to invest and if you are really doing this with your full heart, like, you can truly get something out of this. So, and I'm only starting the 2nd semester, so I already feel like that has happened for me.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's excellent. Great, Catherine. And Flora?
I would say challenging, collaborative, and rewarding. I think I've really made some great friendships with the people in my course, and my thesis project has really really grown my academic abilities and really prepared me for future graduate work.
Excellent, that's great. So I think we're coming to the end of our time now. There's that was a nice sum up of everyone's experience within the postgraduate programs. So just to thank everybody for coming along today. Thanks for all your questions, and we will try to get back to you and send you the information that you want. And feel free to contact myself as well. You know, we're open to answering any of your questions, so feel free to get in touch. And we'd love to see you all coming in September. So and thanks to everyone, Catherine, Flora, Skylar, and Davik for joining us for the Q&A, and obviously my colleague Aonghus and Abigail too. So thank you everybody for all your insights. It's been really excellent, and hopefully everybody has found that engaging and interesting and helpful on your application journey now.
Yeah, just to say, if your questions weren't answered here, you can either contact Sarah or Aonghus, or if it's a more general question, you can contact e3.team@tcd.ie, and we'll try and answer or refer to the relevant department. But just to echo Sarah's thanks to our panel, thank you so much for taking out time from your day, from lectures, from work. Really do appreciate it. I saw in the Q&A there that quite a few attendees really appreciated your time as well. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.